Yo, what's up, what's up? It's your boy Daquan back in here again, and today we have the update for the Gunboy FLAK build. Now, this is a build that Retor and I actually put together about 2 months ago, and for those that seen that original video can probably already tell that the 4-gun layout is the exact same thing. Luckily, we didn't end up getting chopped at all in terms of nerfs. Gearbox and Randy have passed this up, but we'll see how this thing plays out. I'll go ahead and hop into the build now and explain the different things, how they work. So the core of this build revolves around spamming fadeaway, being able to get right back inside of it instantaneously, sometimes almost instantaneously. So we're going to utilize fadeaway in combination with Megavore, which is going to help us out with our crits, and then head count, which when we do crit, we have a chance of getting our cooldown back. And with this in mind, we wanted something that would be able to hit enemies often and hit them with a lot of different pellets. So the best gun for that situation actually is the stagecoach. So the stagecoach is phenomenal because at its max, in terms of the pellets that you'll be able to find, you have those 25 pellets. And each of these pellets on crit is going to end up ricocheting. So you shoot a target, it goes ahead and it ricochets, does a whole lot of damage, and that is without adding in the extra ASC annoyance for the elements. The ASC annoyance for the elements at this point in time, with each ricochet, they add an additional projectile. So it should be 75 projectiles coming out the stagecoach once you do have 2 elements on your general kit. And with 75 projectiles coming out, if you end up critting all of those with your last shot of fadeaway, you're gonna get back inside of fadeaway 9 times out of 10. As long as you have like a few enemies by you, you're gonna get right back inside of fadeaway, which is gonna allow you to just like glide through the content. And even when you're fighting just one enemy, those 25 pellets are gonna help you out immensely in getting back your cooldown fast. Now there is a great combination in terms of alternatives. You can use a Maggie in combination with a Brainstormer, which we still use in the setup, and that will be more than enough. It is a great alternative. The stagecoach is something that you're going to go ahead and have to farm for. You can find it inside of the Earl's Vending Machine right here. This is one of the recommended spots because everything inside here is anointed. So once you find a decent one, you want to go ahead and pick that up 100% of the time. And quick side note, Q system. This right here, this is a god roll for a Q system. Amazing AR. And if I didn't already have one, I would 100% pick this thing up. But utilizing the stagecoach, phenomenal for this build setup. Maggie, Brainstormer is a good alternative. Using a scatter gun, which is kind of like a stagecoach, doesn't come with as much pellets, can also work out well. The Hellwalker was supposed to be the legendary version. Well, it is the legendary version of the stagecoach. But in most situations, especially once you get to the higher pellet count, you can just do the math for 420 times 25 versus, I believe it's like 533 times 10 or 600 something times 10. You can do the math for how much damage you're missing out on with Hellwalker versus the stagecoach, especially when you start looking at like the element matching and hopping into that whole situation. So stagecoach is really the star of the show. You can run through the whole Maliwan takedown with just this by itself. So the Brainstormer is a great addition to the build because it allows you to do a lot of damage to shield as well as do a whole lot of AoE damage. It is pretty much a staple of FLAK in general, and I utilize it inside situations where you want to AoE and hit a target that is super duper mobile. So something like those death spheres that are on the bridge, I utilize it inside that situation, and it works out relatively well. It is an amazing gun for the setup. Next up, we have the Hedgehog. The Hedgehog and the Quickie are essentially the same launcher. What you want to go ahead and do is turn on that sticky mode and then just put in a few of those rockets, and then the boss will end up popping most of the time. Really just utilize this as a bossing tool. If you feel like you need a few more stickies inside of the enemy, you can go ahead and capitalize on the Honey Sticky Grenade, which is going to allow you to get some Leave No Trace procs, which is going to give you back ammo inside your launcher, and you'll be able to get more damage off of your sticky mode, Hedgehog or Quickie, depending on which one you end up finding at the time. But Hedgehog is the better of the 2 options. Instead of a Hedgehog or a Quickie, you can use a base stick. Works out very well for bossing, and even add a nice little clip to the end of killing Wotan using a base stick as well as a splatter gun to, round out a nice little meme. For our 4th flat, we have the Lump, which is a amazing launcher. Don't even worry about finding an anoint for this thing. The base damage alone is enough to get you through the Maliwan Takedown Mayhem 4, enough to get you through the Slaughter Shaft Mayhem 4. It is one of the best launchers in the game for mobbing, 100%. It kind of gets beat out a little bit in terms of the single target department. You can shoot it directly at the enemy, but it'll do an okay amount of damage. But where it really shines is shooting out into the air, having those beams attached to the enemies, and then having that ball explode and go ahead and blowing up the enemies from there. So some more AoE options you can rock with a Nukem, works out relatively decently, and then a Scourge will work out well for not only AoE but also for single target. And you have a lot of different options that you can play around with inside this build. The core build itself is strong enough to just fly through most of the content for Mayhem 4. In terms of our shield, we have a couple of really good options. The one-shot shield is going to be our offensive option, while the stopgap as well as the transformer are going to be our defensive options. So the one-shot shield works out better than all the other amp shields because the version OM as well as the rerouter only end up boosting up the damage of one of the projectiles coming out of the gun, while the one-shot shield will end up boosting up all the projectiles coming out of our stagecoach, coming out of our brainstormer, coming out of our launchers, which is going to add an extra layer of DPS that we didn't have originally. And this is something that I ended up finding out about from another YouTuber by the name of FL4K a while back when he ended up doing a video, but we just added this into the mix recently. So one-shot shield is fantastic. Stopgap is great as well as the transformer. Really is up to preference depending on which one you actually want to run. Stopgap has an added synergy with fadeaway. Once your shield actually does end up breaking, you can go into fadeaway, you can chill out for a bit, and your shield will go right back up, which is going to allow you to get another round of that immunity phase on shield break from the stopgap. And then the transformer is fantastic, especially inside the Maliwan takedown, because a lot of those enemies are going to be doing shock damage, and then that 40% bullet absorb is just cool all around the table. So both of those shields work out well. It's up to you which one you actually want to run. For our grenade, we're rocking the Mitosis Hunter Seeker. You can rock whatever Hunter Seeker that you do have with an ASC attached to it. Its ability to naturally crit as well as proc Megavore, because it is gun damage, is going to help you out, because it's going to allow you to get head count procs, which is cooldown. You leave no trace procs, which is going to give you back ammo inside of your guns. And then since it is gun damage, it's going to proc Furious Attack, which is going to help you ramp up your stacks and keep you at max DPS or get you to max DPS relatively easy just by throwing out a few of these bad boys. In terms of class mods, you can rock the Cosmic Stalker, you can rock the Bounty Hunter. Both of these are going to work out relatively well for you. Now, the Cosmic Stalker actually has a couple of bugs on it, which makes it a bit closer to the Bounty Hunter than we thought originally, but either one of these was going to work out relatively well. As long as you have high rolls on one of them, it's going to work out pretty smooth. So things that you're going to be looking for: weapon damage, shotgun damage. You can look for Jacob's crit damage if you just want to run the stagecoach. AoE damage, of course, is going to help out with your launchers. Cooldown rate is going to help out inside those situations where you feel like you want to flow a little bit better. Most of the time, I don't feel like I need the cooldown, but it's depending on the situation that you're running into and how you play overall. You might feel like you want a little bit more action skill cooldown rate. That way you can just get the overall flow of combat to work a little bit better for you. But it's really up to you. For our artifact, we have the Last Stand. That's going to add an extra layer of protection in terms of our HP. And then a Snowdrift is also a cool option for flying around. Having these in either Auto Idle will give you a little bit more sustain, or Victory Rush if you want a little bit more DPS. The added sustain isn't really needed too much because you have more than enough sustain inside the original kit. As you start to get better and better with the build, you'll be able to tweak it to the way that you want it to be tweaked. The red tree is really just about stacking damage. So Interplanetary Stalker, Hunter's Eye. Big Game ends up helping out the damage of the Hunter skills. Most Dangerous Game, more damage. Grim Harvest, Galactic Shadow. All of these are damage oriented. Our main focus of this build is being able to crit, and in those situations where we aren't hitting a crit, we have Megavore helping us out a little bit. And when we do end up critting, we'll have head count giving us back our cooldown, so that way we can spam fadeaway. Works out very, very well. As we're spamming fadeaway, we're going to be able to get our taunt to pop off, allowing us to get very, very, very good survivability from our pet helping us out. And then we just get the most damage when we do end up critting from Unblinking Eye. And then leave no traces in the mix because it allows us to chain shoot our stagecoach, our brainstormer a little bit more fluid. We're able to finesse using a Mitosis Hunter Seeker and our launchers sometimes. It just works out well in the overall core of the build. And these 2 points in Grim Harvest, you can put those into Second Intention if you really want to. All of it works out well. Green Tree, we have 5 points to do Self-Repairing System. Fierce Attack for DPS. 1 point on my BFFs was more than enough for Retor and I. You can play around with it. You can take some points out of Persistent Hunter and put those into here if you feel like your pet is dying too often. And you can move around like maybe 1 point into eager to impress to unlock that like functionality of being able to get a little bit of cooldown from that. Having a bunch of points into this doesn't really benefit you too much unless you are looking for like a super duper speed run and you're just flying through everything. It has a chance of helping you out in a super duper speed run, but it's not really the greatest thing in the world to have a ton of points into. So yeah, on my BFS at 1, Lick the Wounds is good for res, turn, tail, and run. You can see what this bad boy does. 3 points Fast and Furious for the damage and the movement speed, and then Hidden Machine is nice to add an additional layer of DPS. And then yeah, the 2 points into Persistent Hunter. That way we get additional gun damage and the action skill duration. And the gun damage off of the Persistent Hunter is just a little bit higher than what we get from Grim Harvest, so we end up putting the points into Persistent Hunter instead. And the extra duration is cool for allowing us to just move around a little bit more inside situations where you feel like you might want your fadeaway to be a little bit longer. That's pretty much it for the build. If you guys have any questions about anything, go and let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video or if it's helped out, leaving a like helps out the video spread around a little bit, you know, can help get some quality information out there if you do believe it is quality. And that is all for your boy. Hopefully you guys have a great day, great night. I am out of here.
I